She already remembered it. The hilltop faded, and Harry stood in Dumbledore's office, and something was making a terrible sound, like a wounded animal. Snape was slumped forwards in a chair, and Dumbledore was standing over him, looking grim. After a moment or two, Snape raised his face, and he looked like a man who had lived 100 years of misery since leaving the wild hilltop. I thought you were going to keep her safe. She and James put their faith in the wrong person, said Dumbledore. Rather like you, Severus. Weren't you hoping that Lord Voldemort would spare her? Snape's breathing was hollow. The boy survived, said Dumbledore. With a tiny jerk of the head, Snape seemed to flick off an irksome fly. Her son lives. He had her eyes, precisely her eyes. You remember the shape and color of Lily Evans's eyes, I am sure? Don't, bellowed Snape. Gone, dead. Is this remorse, Severus? I wish I were dead. And what use would that be to anyone, said Dumbledore coldly. If you loved Lily Evans, if you truly loved her, then your way forward is clear. Snape seemed to peer through a haze of pain, and Dumbledore's words appeared to take a long time to reach him. What do you mean? You know how and why she died. Make sure it was not in vain. Help me protect Lily's son. He does not need protection. The Dark Lord has gone. The Dark Lord will return, and Harry Potter will be in terrible danger when he does. There was a long pause, and slowly Snape regained control of himself, mastered his own breathing. At last he said, very well, but never tell Dumbledore. This must be between us. Swear it. I cannot bear, especially Potter's son. I want your word. My word, Severus, that I shall never reveal the best of you? Dumbledore sighed, looking down into Snape's ferocious, anguished face. If you insist. The office dissolved, but reformed instantly. Snape was pacing up and down in front of Dumbledore. Mediocre, arrogant as his father, a determined rule-breaker, delighted to find himself famous, attention-seeking and impertinent. You see what you expect to see, Severus, said Dumbledore, without raising his eyes from a copy of Transfiguration today. Other teachers report that the boy is modest, likable, and reasonably talented. Personally, I find him an engaging child. Dumbledore turned the page and said without looking up, Keep an eye on Quirrell, won't you? A whirl of color, and now everything darkened, and Snape and Dumbledore stood a little apart in the entrance hall, when the last stragglers from the Yule Ball passed them on their way to bed. Well, mumbled Dumbledore, Karkaroff's mark is becoming darker too. He is panicking. He fears retribution. You know how much help he gave the Ministry after the Dark Lord fell. Snape looked sideways at Dumbledore's crook-nosed profile. Karkaroff intends to flee if the mark burns. Does he? Said Dumbledore softly, as Fleur Delacour and Roger Davies came giggling in from the grounds. And are you tempted to join him? No, said Snape, his black eyes on Fleur and Roger's retreating figures. I am not such a coward. No, agreed Dumbledore. You are a braver man by far than Igor Karkaroff. You know, sometimes I think we soared too soon. He walked away, leaving Snape looking stricken. And now Harry stood in the headmaster's office yet again. It was nighttime, and Dumbledore sagged sideways.
And why would he feel stricken if Karkaroff was going to run?
No, I don't know. He really needs to feel stricken.
Yeah.
Because Dumbledore just paid him a compliment. And he said, you're far braver than Karkaroff. You don't flee when the dark mark burns. And then he says, sometimes I think we sort of soon, meaning that
he would have been a better Ravenclaw.
Or Gryffindor or whatever.
Which one is the Courage?
The Courage is the Gryffindor.
Mm-hmm.
And now Harry stood in the headmaster's office yet again. It was nighttime, and Dumbledore sagged sideways in the throne-like chair behind the desk, apparently semi-conscious. His right hand dangled over the side, blackened and burned. Snape was muttering incantations, pointing his wand at the rest of the hand, while with his left hand he tipped a goblet full of dark golden potion down Dumbledore's throat. After a moment or two, Dumbledore's eyelids fluttered and opened. Why, said Snape without preamble, why did you put on that ring? It carries a curse, surely you realize that. Why even touch it? Marvolo's ring lay on the desk before Dumbledore. It was cracked. The sword of Gryffindor lay beside it. See, he had just destroyed the Horcrux of it. But he couldn't tell Snape that. He didn't want to tell Snape about the Horcruxes in case the Dark Lord reaches his mind and knows that they're after them.
Okay.
Dumbledore grimaced. I was a fool, sorely tempted. Tempted by what? Dumbledore did not answer. It is a miracle you managed to return here, Snape sounded furious. That ring carried a curse of extraordinary power.
Oh, he was tempted by the Hallows.
Well, yeah, the ring contained...
Was it a Hallow?
The ring had a resurrection stone in it, and he was tempted to...
Oh, I see.
To use the stone to see if he could talk to his mother, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah, and his daughter, or his
sister.
Yeah, and his sister. That ring carried a curse of extraordinary power. To contain this is all we can hope for. I have trapped the curse in one hand for the time being. Dumbledore raised his black and useless hand and examined it with the expression of one being shown an interesting curio. You have done very well, Severus. How long do you think I have? Dumbledore's tone was conversational. He might have been asking him for a weather forecast. Snape hesitated and then said, I cannot tell. Maybe a year. There is no holding such spell forever. It will spread eventually. It is a sort of curse that strengthens over time. Dumbledore smiled. The news that he had less than a year to live seemed a matter of little or no concern to him. I am fortunate, extremely fortunate, that I have you, Severus. If you had only summoned me a little earlier, I might have been able to do more, to buy you more time, said Snape furiously. He looked down at the broken ring and the sword. Did you think that breaking the ring would break the curse? Something like that. I was delirious, no doubt, said Dumbledore.
Well, the ring, it was a Horcrux.
It was a Horcrux.
And so he broke it because of that.
It is no longer a Horcrux, but it's
But it was Snape's Horcrux. No, not Snape. It was Voldemort. Okay,
yeah.
So Snape doesn't know about it.
Correct.
Okay, I got it.
And the curse is still on it, even though the Horcrux is destroyed.
Okay.
Something like that. I was delirious, no doubt, said Dumbledore. With an effort, he straightened himself in his chair. Well, really, that makes matters so much more straightforward. Snape looked utterly perplexed. Dumbledore smiled. I refer to the plan Lord Voldemort is revolving around me. His plan to have the poor Malfoy boy murder me. Snape sat down in a chair Harry had so often occupied, across the desk from Dumbledore. Harry could tell that he wanted to say more on the subject of Dumbledore's cursed hand. But scowling...
So Voldemort... How did Voldemort find out that Snape had killed Dumbledore? Didn't he think that Malfoy had done it? Why would Voldemort...
No, he wanted Malfoy to do it, but remember, there was Death Eaters while we were there.
Oh, and they told him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now then, Harry could tell that he wanted to say more on the subject of Dumbledore's cursed hand, but the other held it up in polite refusal to discuss the matter further. Scowling, Snape said, The Dark Lord does not expect Draco to succeed. It is merely punishment for Lucius's recent failures, slow torture for Draco's parents while they watch him fail and pay the price. In short, the boy had a death sentence pronounced upon him as surely as I have, said Dumbledore. Now I should have thought that the natural successor to the job, once Draco failed, is yourself. There was a short pause. That, I think, is the Dark Lord's plan. Lord Voldemort foresees a moment in the near future when he will not be the spy at Hogwarts. He believes that the school will soon be in his grasp, yes. And if it does fall in his grasp, said Dumbledore, almost it seemed as an aside, I have your word that you will do all in your power to protect the students of Hogwarts. Snape gave a stiff nod. Good, now then, your first priority will be to discover what Draco is up to. A frightened teenage boy is a danger to others as well as to himself. Offer him help and guidance. He ought to accept. He liked you. Much less since his father has lost favor. Draco blames me. He thinks I have usurped Lucius's position. All the same, try. I am concerned less for myself than for accidental victims of whatever schemes might occur to the boy. Unfortunately, of course, there is only one thing to be done if we are to save him for Lord Voldemort's wrath. Snape raised his eyebrow and his tone was sardonic as he asked, You intended to let him kill you? Certainly not. You must kill me. There was a long silence, broken only by an odd clicking noise. Fox the Phoenix was gnawing a bit of cuttlebone. Would you like me to do it now? Asked Snape, his voice heavy with irony, or would you like a few moments to compose your epitaph? Oh, not quite yet, said Dumbledore, smiling. I dare say the moment will present itself in due course. Given what has happened tonight, he indicated with his withered hand, we can be sure that it will happen within a year. If you don't mind dying, said Snape roughly, why not let Draco do it? That boy's soul is not yet so damaged, said Dumbledore. I wouldn't have it ripped apart on my account. And my soul, Dumbledore? Mine? You alone know whether it'll harm your soul to help an old man avoid pain and humiliation, said Dumbledore. I ask this one great favour of you, Severus, because death is coming for me as surely as the Chudley Cannons will finish bottom in this year's league. I confess I should prefer a quick, painless exit to the protracted and messy affair it will be if, for instance, Greyback's involved. I hear Voldemort has recruited him, or dear Bellatrix, who likes to play with her food before she eats it. His tone was light, but his blue eyes pierced Snape as they had frequently pierced Harry, as though the soul they discussed was visible to him. At last Snape gave another curt nod. Dumbledore seemed satisfied. Thank you, Severus. The offer disappeared, and now Snape and Dumbledore were strolling together in the deserted castle ground by twilight. What are you doing with Potter all these evenings you are closeted together? Snape asked abruptly. Dumbledore looked weary. Why, you're not trying to give him more detention, Severus? The boy will soon spend more time in detention than out. He's his father over again. In looks, perhaps, but in deepest nature he is much more like his mother. I spend time with Harry because I have things to discuss with him, information I must give him before it is too late. Information, repeated Snape. You trust him. You do not trust me? It is not a question of trust. I have, as we both know, limited time. It is essential that I give the boy enough information for him to do what he needs to do. And why may I not have the same information? I prefer not to put all my secrets in one basket, particularly not a basket that spends so much time dangling on the arm of Lord Voldemort. Which I do on your orders. And you do it extremely well. Do not think I underestimate the constant danger in which you place yourself, Severus. To give Voldemort what appears to be valuable information while withholding the essentials is a job I would entrust to nobody but you. Yet you can find much more in a boy who is incapable of occlumency, whose magic is mediocre, and who has a direct connection to Lord Voldemort's mind, into the Dark Lord's mind. Voldemort fears that connection, says Dumbledore. Not so long ago he had one small taste of what truly sharing Harry's mind means to him. It was pain such he has never experienced. He will not try to possess Harry again, I am sure of it, not in that way. I don't understand. Lord Voldemort's soul, maimed as it is, cannot bear close contact with a soul like Harry's. Like a tongue on frozen steel, like a flesh in flame. Souls? We are talking about minds. In the case of Harry and Lord Voldemort, to speak of one is to speak of the other. Dumbledore glanced around to make sure they were alone. They were close by the Vermilion Forest now, but there was no sign of anyone near them. After you had killed me, Severus, you refused to tell me everything. Yet you suspected small service of me, snarled Snape. The real anger flared in his thin face now. You think I degrade you for granted, Dumbledore. Perhaps I have changed my mind. You gave me your word, Severus, and while we are talking about services you owe me, I thought you agreed to keep a close eye on your young Slytherin friend. Snape looked angry, mutinous. Dumbledore sighed. Come to my office tonight, Severus, at 11, and you shall not complain that I have no confidence in you. They were back in Dumbledore's office, the windows dark. The fox sat silent as Snape sat quite still, as Dumbledore walked around him, talking. Harry must not know until the last moment, not until it's necessary. Otherwise, how could he have the strength to do what must be done? But what must he do? That has been between Harry and me. Now listen closely, Severus. There will come a time, after my death, do not argue, do not interrupt. There will come a time when Lord Voldemort will seem to fear for the life of the snake. For Nagini? Snape looked astonished. Precisely. If there comes a time when Lord Voldemort stops sending a snake forth to do his bidding, but keeps us safe behind him under magical protection, then I think it will be safe to tell Harry. Tell him what? Dumbledore took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Tell him that on the night Lord Voldemort tried to kill him, when Lily cast her own life between them as a shield, the killing curse rebounded upon Lord Voldemort, and a fragment of Lord Voldemort's soul was blasted apart from the whole, and latched itself into the only living soul left in that collapsing building. Part of Lord Voldemort lives inside Harry, and his death was given him power of speech with snakes, and a connection to Lord Voldemort's mind that he has never understood. And while that fragment of soul, unmissed by Voldemort, remained